Welcome to Get Better Basketball Live. I'm Coach DeMarco, and today I'm going to give you a complete breakdown of Baylor's diamond press that they used against North Carolina to come back from 25 points down in the second round of the NCAA Tournament with 10 minutes to go in the game and eventually force overtime. Baylor wouldn't go on to win this basketball game, but the only reason they had a chance to come back from 25 points down to force overtime was their diamond press. And that's why you're not going to want to miss this episode of Get Better Basketball Live. But before I jump into it, you know what to do. Subscribe to Get Better Basketball, turn on your notifications, and hit that like button down below. Another Get Better Basketball Live is up now. Coach DeMarco here with Get Better Basketball Live. And before I jump into this breakdown of Baylor's diamond press, I want to share with you a couple of details of the diamond press. The first thing is the basic alignment. You would have your X4 or your madman on the basketball. They're typically going to angle this inbounder 0-3 to pass the ball into what they would call this coffin corner. I'm going to get into trap spots in just a minute, but they want to try to force the pass and really keep it on this side of the floor. Near impossible for them to make any type of aerial pass across the court because the backboard plays as an extra defender. Of course, if they could run the baseline, this player would go with them and now force the coffin corner on the other side. You have your two elbow defenders who are going to act as your trap players. Typically, the ball goes into this corner just about 75 to 80% of the time, and you're going to see that in this video. North Carolina is going to try to pass the ball into the middle. Even when they do sometimes, they're going to dribble over into this corner. This player is going to look to trap with X4. X3 is our primary interceptor who will rotate over to the ball side. And then this X1 player also becomes an interceptor. They can rotate into the middle, or they could rotate up a little bit higher and be a little bit more aggressive, depending on where the offensive players line up. X5 is our back player, but I'll talk about some of the things Baylor is going to do a little bit differently with their press. But this is the basic alignment. Here is your diamond setup. It's a 1-2-1-1 press. Now let's take a look at the trap spots here. As I mentioned, the coffin corner, this is where the ball does come in about 75 to 80% of the time. If you do a good job, you have a long athletic player on the ball that really angles this pass, it's really going to force them to bring the ball into this area. There's obviously things teams can do. I have a couple of videos where I share 4 across press breakers that I like against the diamond press, but also how you can adjust your diamond press against the 4 across press breaker. You can check those out with the links in the description, and I'll also put a link up above for you now as well. The other trap spot is obviously on the other side. This could be if the ball is inbounded over here or if they run the baseline. Half court, also trap spots. As the ball comes in, we're going to work the press back and look to force a dribble up the sideline and trap just before half court. And probably the best trap spot of them all is just over half court because you have an extra defender, or really 2. You have the half court line because they can't throw it backwards, and you have the sideline, which you would have in some of the other trap spots as well. Obviously, the coffin corner is a good one too because they can't throw backwards. Obviously, it would be out of bounds if they did that. So in previous videos, I shared some key points on how you should attack full court pressure, not necessarily specific to the diamond press, but just full court pressure. But also this does fit the diamond press as well. Attack middle using ball fakes, staying out of these trap spots, catching and looking middle opposite, and then back to the middle or middle opposite go. Patience, look up, reverse, look up, look middle, and reverse the basketball. So those are just some pointers that, you can look for in this video to see if North Carolina is using any of these aspects. I share this out in a previous video, as I mentioned. You can take a look at that video in the description down below. It's Virginia's 1-4 press breaker. So we have the base alignment of the diamond press, as I already talked to you about just a couple minutes ago. And now we're going to take a look at what Baylor's alignment is and how it differs. So how Baylor's alignment is going to differ is they're going to take this player who's typically on the basketball and they're going to shadow these players. They were being a little more aggressive. There was a little over 10 minutes to go in the game, and they're down 25 points. They had to make things happen and make them happen fast. So this player, and you can make this adjustment. We did this sometimes as a wrinkle. Often we were on the ball, but we would face guard with this guy, and now it acts a little bit more like a man-to-man type pressure. When this player comes into the corner, you kind of have him sandwiched with X4, X2, and X4 is going to be on the trap a little bit quicker. So certainly some benefits to this, and we'll take a look at Baylor's alignment in the video now. So here you have it. You have your X4 player now who's face guarding these two players who are going to split from North Carolina, and you have these two players just on the outside being aggressive, and as that ball is going to come in, they're going to look to trap. So a little different than your traditional diamond press with this player on the basketball, and there lies the biggest difference for Baylor. Let's take a look at some of the clips now and break down what went well for the Bears. So there's obviously going to be a lot of clips that I could go through in those 10 minutes of the game, but I picked out about 8 clips here that I want to take you through for different reasons. And this is the first one, and it's about 3 minutes left. You can see that Baylor has cut that 25-point lead down to about 6 points with 3.5 minutes to go. Here is the player on the basketball who's come off now, and they're face guarding. Here's your two elbow players really forcing everything up. And here is your back of the diamond. And then there's one more player just beyond half court that is going to be responsible for this player here. If there's a longer pass that gets lofted in the air, he would have time. Now, a tip to get there. Now, in a typical diamond press, this player would be on the basketball, making any type of lob pass a little bit harder. This is why I think North Carolina should have went to a 4-across look a little bit quicker. No one on the basketball. I think it would have been easier if this player was in the elbow area extended, free throw line extended, to throw the ball up to them or to hit one of the elbow players in the middle, because it would be a lot harder for these 2 or even 3 players to guard 4 across. I think North Carolina is doing them a little bit of a favor by only going with 3 up against Baylor's 4 here. But they'll make an adjustment at one point. I'll go over that with North Carolina will adjust at one point, and I'll talk about that. So as we watch this clip, this player is going to look to run the baseline, and you can see they have everybody funneled up. Here comes this player trying to run up late and get in the passing area, and you can see this player is right behind him. Had that pass came, I think there's a good chance he would have had to steal the basketball. If he gambled and didn't steal it, they're down. It's late in the game. They were being very aggressive, but he would have had a chance to steal this basketball had they made that pass. Now, the ball is going to come into this middle area here, and watch what this player does. As soon as it comes in, he is going to turn, and he's going to dribble where? Right into that coffin corner area. This player is an interceptor. Now, North Carolina should have this player flash here or this player flash here to get open. They have 2 players here, so it's making it easier for this guy. Normally, if this player came up in this area, this defender would have to decide, are they going to cheat and give up a pass potentially to give North Carolina numbers, or are they going to be a little more conservative in what they do? At any rate, he's going to dribble into the corner, and he is going to fade away from the basketball here. Now, we tell kids at the youth level, the high school level, don't dribble into this corner. And you can see how hard it is against this press. This is one of the best teams in the country, North Carolina. He's dribbling. He's nervous. He's fading away from the pressure, and they're doing a good job locking in this trap. This player is going to cheat low. Now they have their 2 players, and that's typically where you're going to see. And the other interceptor is going to come right into this area over the top, also being very aggressive. And that's one of the differences that Baylor does. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive with this back player. Personally, I would not have him up as far because I would want to protect the basket, but they were down 25 points, and this is the difference. They have the guy face guarding the basketball, and they're going to bring this back player up really, really aggressively in this press, and I love it because it worked great for them in this game. Now, this player is going to try to throw the ball off of Baylor's legs. They're going to get a steal and another possession. We'll check this out at full speed again. You'll see the player face guarding the ball. The pass comes in. They're going to force it into the coffin corner. Really nice job by Baylor. So here's another clip of the diamond press. You're going to see the face guarding player, elbow player is the back of the diamond. Watch as this player cuts here. They have him sandwiched. They're going to force him into the corner. Another time where this player is going to get into the corner. They lock the trap in tight. They really want to take away an opportunity to throw the ball back to the inbounder here. these players can rotate a little bit. One thing I want to point out here with Baylor, they're being very aggressive. I would tell my players, do not come up to this player on this catch unless you're going to get the steal, because what happens is it allows North Carolina to throw it over the top. North Carolina is going to get the ball over half court in this possession for that exact reason. We would tell this player, stunt like you're coming up, and then sit back and keep the ball in front of you and just reset the diamond. And there's a 10-second count that's going to be going. Baylor's not doing that because they're being extra aggressive, because of the time in the game, because of the score, and this is what worked for them in the game. And I wanted to show you this because it is different from a traditional diamond press, but I really like what they're doing here. So here it is again. We got the face guarding. They're going to get the ball out this time, North Carolina, but still a lot of pressure on them to get the ball up court. And look at them. They're in a hurry with the lead. Now, I wanted to show you this clip because North Carolina is going to line up a little bit differently. Instead of splitting at the elbows, they're going to have 3 up and 1 player back here who's going to try to cut to the basketball. A little bit different. Still not quite 4 across, which I think would have really solved the problem for them. You can see Baylor has these 4 players literally surrounding North Carolina, putting a tremendous amount of pressure on them in their diamond press. So now he's going to come and set a back screen. I think they're going to try to go over the top here. But remember that Baylor does have one more defender who's back, which makes it tough for them to throw this long pass over the top. And this player does a nice job in the diamond reacting to that player who's trying to go over the top. Now North Carolina is going to try to cut this side to the ball. The player who's on the ball face guarding is going to jump there. This player is going to jump here, and eventually they're going to try to flash this player right back into the middle. They were trying everything they could to not catch the ball in the corners, even though they dribbled there and did often catch it there. So they're going to try to throw it to this player. Great job by Baylor. Deflection, tons of pressure on the basketball. They're going to get the steal here, and they're going to get another possession and knock down a 3. So this is huge by Baylor. North Carolina is trying this different press breaker. As we watch it one more time, they do a great job getting a steal and a huge 3-pointer late in the game. So we've seen North Carolina dribble into the coffin corner. We've seen them catch it there. We've seen them change their press breaker. Now they're going to get the ball quickly, and they're going to try to put it in bounds. It's about a little over 2 minutes. It's a 6-point game. And remember that Baylor is going to tie this basketball game at 80 to send it into overtime. So pretty amazing job by them. Now the ball comes in bounds, and Baylor's getting set up in their diamond. Nice job here. He's trying to keep the ball on this side of the floor so they can come up and trap. This player is going to do a better job. We saw earlier he came up too far and they threw it over the top. He's actually going to sit back now as the ball comes up, forcing North Carolina to make another pass over the top. We don't get a steal here, but what I'm going to show you is another advantage of the diamond press. This player is going to catch it. These players should now be working to back tap. And there's drills you can do like triangle fast break, which is something that I'll share with you in the description below and also up above here on the video, because this player can back tap and really put pressure on this player. But watch what happens. He gets so nervous with the basketball, he's under so much pressure that he's going to dribble right down into this corner. That's the thing with full court pressure, especially the diamond press. You're going to get teams to dive into these corners because they're going to get funneled there with this zone pressure. So now I don't love seeing 3 defenders to the trap, but he's going to get under pressure into the corner. As we watch this again, want to point out that you're not always going to get a turnover off the trap, but this puts a ton of pressure on North Carolina. And even though it's not a turnover, they're going to make mistakes later on. So I love this clip because you get to see the aggressiveness that Baylor is using with their diamond press as they're down late in the game. Still a 6-point game with 1:17, and they're going to tie this game at 80 to send it to overtime. I keep saying it because it's hard to believe, but a lot of it had to do with this pressure late in the game. We're going to see it right here. This player is going to face guard, take away this pass. They're going to take away the second pass. They're going to try to come late to this player, and Baylor read it. They kept doing it. So finally, they're going to jump in front here. They're going to steal it, and they're going to get fouled on this possession late in the game. One thing I want to point out from a teaching standpoint with the sandwich technique, and they're not quite executing it. It's more of a man-to-man strategy. But if they could have had this player behind here, I would tell this player, you're going to stay on his right hip, and I would tell the face guarder, you're going to stay on his right hip. And that way they don't get juked or faked out. You can see he kind of gets faked out for a step here, which is okay. He does a great job recovering. If you're going to sandwich players in man-to-man, give each of them what I call right responsibility, and it's going to really make it hard for this player to get the basketball. To make it simple for our players, we tell them, play to your right. So this player is going to play to what his right would be, and this player is going to cheat to what his right would be. And if he jukes right or left, it's not going to matter. They're going to stay on that hip. It's going to make it very hard for him to fake those players out. More of a man-to-man technique, but I did want to point it out here because I think it's valuable in late game situations as a coaching point. As that ball is going to try to come in bounds, great effort by Baylor getting the steal and then getting fouled. Take a look at it one more time at full speed. All around, great job by the Baylor Bears here, getting the steal and getting fouled. So 2 more clips I want to show you here, and I've tried to show you something a little different in every clip, from North Carolina adjusting their press breaker to other things that are happening on each different possession. What I like about this clip more than anything is the aerial view. You get to see the 1, 2, really it would be 1 or 1 player up. What Baylor started to do now is cheat with both of these players. So instead of having one sit back, as we saw earlier, we saw just the true diamond. They've gotten aggressive here with 28.7 seconds down 3, and they brought both of these guys up to take away even the up passes here. So another little adjustment that they make. They did not start out like that, but this adjustment is a good one because they want to be super aggressive. They need to get the ball back here down 3 points. So you can see this player is going to run with him. He's going here. Here's your elbow players, and there was your face guard player. They are eventually going to get it in here by posting up a bigger player at half court, which made it tough for Baylor here, and he's going to get fouled. Just take a look at it one more time so you can see the aerial view. I think it's a great view of what Baylor's trying to do with their full court pressure and their aggressiveness. Before I show you the last clip, I wanted to bring it back to a graphic from one of my previous videos, which was Virginia's 4-across press breaker. Highly recommend you check that out because Virginia does a great job against this same type of pressure. But with the 4-across, as you see here, makes it a lot harder because you have to pull up this defender and this defender. When those guys are at half court, it's a little bit less of a threat to make the long pass. So these two defenders, it makes their life a little easier. When you bring these guys up to the free throw line, now they can step up, and if this player gets too aggressive, there's a lot of space to throw that ball longer down the floor. Now, when Virginia faced it, there was a player on the ball, so a little bit different than what Baylor's doing. But here's what I wanted to point out. This player on the ball side is very tough to defend. If it's a taller player and you can throw it up to them, you could hit this player on a diagonal cut, or you could hit the other player on a diagonal cut. So when Virginia runs it, they're actually going to send the elbow player long, but they're going to go here, and this player is going to cut right through the middle, and that's a great way to dissect the diamond press. There's adjustments you can make. I shared that also in a separate video, which again is in the description below. But I want to take you to the last clip from Baylor and show you how North Carolina made a small adjustment late in the game. I really like this angle because you get the view from the inbounder and you get to see what they see in terms of the full court pressure. And it looks really like their players are surrounded. You might see this player back here and it looks like they're open. Tough to get that pass all the way across the backboard there. And it could be a little bit of a riskier pass. So teams are hesitant to make this pass, especially if this guy was on the inbounder, traditional diamond press, and he was jumping up and down. Almost impossible to make that pass. Might be possible here, but I think there was a large concern that it would lead to a turnover. And we know that Baylor adjusted by eventually putting 2 guys up, so that made it much, much more difficult as the game went on. So this is an overtime, and North Carolina is going to win this game. And I believe that a simple adjustment they made that you're going to see there helped them. Now, I don't recommend necessarily posting up in this position. It looks a little bit risky. I actually like starting the player more up in this area, and they can take a couple steps up and try to like sail the player a little bit. But this is a player for North Carolina who they were confident could post up. And this is going to give them a little bit of that 4 across look. I would like to see these players, all start 4 across. I think there's an advantage when you can do that. Makes it a lot harder for them. But what I want to point out is this pass. And I just showed you what Virginia was able to do. Now, yes, risky lob pass. I don't love the pass, but it makes the point of what I've been talking about. You're going to go to this player high, and you're going to hit this player streaking down the floor, and they're going to be off to the races. Now, there's different ways to do this in a little bit of a safer manner, but it makes the point in terms of, there you go, pass to the player and right down the floor. Now, credit to Baylor for recovering and back tapping, but this puts pressure on the full court press when you can hit this player and then hit right to the middle. Now they got to turn, sprint, and get back on D. We'll take a look at it one more time at full speed, but love what Baylor did here, and credit to them to come back from 25 points down, and a big part of it was their aggressive diamond press. I love full court pressure defense. It's something that's always been near and dear to my heart. So I was so excited when I saw Baylor go into the diamond press and chip away at North Carolina before forcing this game to overtime. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the Baylor Bears for the effort they gave, and a lot of what happened late in the game was due in part to that effort and also this aggressive diamond press. Also, credit to the Tar Heels for hanging in there, toughing it out, solving the pressure when it was necessary in overtime, and coming away with a big win in the NCAA tournament. This was one of my favorite basketball games from the first weekend, and I know there's going to be many more to follow. If you like this video, then drop me a comment down below and tell me what you like about it. Also, ask any questions. I'm happy to talk basketball and share my knowledge on the diamond press. Make sure you hit the like button down below, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to the Get Better Basketball YouTube channel for more great video breakdowns each and every week. As always, get better every day.